Struggling with river system questions in geography? Don't worry, I've got you covered. And in this quick session, we'll tackle past paper questions, simplify key concepts, and boost your confidence. So let's dive right in. So the first part is to study the figure, and there's no figure, okay? There's a diagram of a hydrological cycle. And after that, you have to tick or to check the sentence that defines hydrological cycles. There are four. If you're going to look at the term hydrological cycle, you can see the word hydro. Hydro means water. So it means that hydrological cycle is the other term for the water cycle. So in geography, we have water cycle, but the fancy term is hydrological cycle, which describes the continuous movement. Okay, again, there's the continuity of the water movement within the Earth's system, which includes the atmosphere, the land, the oceans. And the key processes in the hydrological cycle, are also known as water cycle, include evaporation, condensation, precipitation, infiltration, and runoff, and other things. Okay, so this cycle plays really a very important role in regulating the Earth's climate and supporting ecosystems. So the first question is, you have to understand that you have to check the sentence that define the hydrological cycle, which means that there's only one answer because tick the sentence. So the three choices are wrong. Okay, the first is the hydrological cycle describes different forms of precipitation. Again, the key terms are different forms of precipitation. Do you think it's all about precipitation? So the answer here is, of course, an X mark because this is really partially, okay, it's part, precipitation is only part of the hydrological cycle because precipitation, like rain, like snow, hail, is only just one part or one phase of the cycle. However, the hydrological cycle is much bigger because it has lots of processes, including evaporation, condensation, runoff. So the first statement is not really a complete definition of hydrological cycle. Second option is the hydrological cycle describes processes by which rivers erode and deposit materials. Now, there are two key terms from this item. Rivers erode, the word is erode, and deposit. Okay? Rivers erode and deposit materials. But before we explain further, we need to know what's the meaning of erode. Erode means to wear away materials like the soil, rock, other sediments, often by water, wind, or ice. So, for example, the river erodes its banks as it flows. The river wears out some materials. On the other hand, deposit means to drop or to leave behind materials that were being carried. So, if there's a force of movement like water or wind, it really slows down. So, for instance, river deposits sediment when they lose energy. So, it forms features like sandbanks or deltas. And from this item, do you think this is really defining the term hydrological cycle? The answer is wrong. This is really incorrect. Okay, because remember that rivers are involved in moving waters across the land, but the terms erode. Okay, erode is is connected with erosion. Erode is the verb form of the word erosion, and deposit, deposition. Erosion and deposition are actually parts of geological processes. Okay, it's more, these two processes are from geological side and not really in part of the hydrological cycle. Again, hydrological cycle focuses only on the water movement and not the land movement. Okay, so again, hydrological cycle focuses on the water movement through the atmosphere, through the land and the ocean. But the erode and deposit, it's they are all connected with erosion and deposition, which are parts of geological processes. The third item is the hydrological cycle describes reasons why flooding occurs. So the keyword is flooding. And in geography, flooding happens when too much water covers the land that is usually dry. It was dry before, and then there's too much water eventually. Why? Because it occurs because of the heavy rainfall, because too much rain, there is the overflowing of rivers. Another possibility is the melting of snow. That's why there's flooding or even storms. So, floodings or floods can really damage the buildings, some roads, and even the farming, the crops. But there are also benefits like making the soil more fertile and, of course, having minerals on the land. So it becomes fertile, it makes a good soil. So they are really natural events, that reshape the landscapes and affect the communities. And from the item, the hydrological cycle describes reasons why flooding occurs, why flooding happens. Occurs means happens. This is really incorrect. Although the hydrological cycle may really influence, can really affect the flooding, okay, such as having a rainfall, heavy rainfall, or the overflowing of rivers. It does not really specifically focus on the reasons for flooding. Again, hydrological cycle primarily describes the continuous movement of water in various or different forms. It's not about hydrological cycle is is all about the reasons for flooding. No, it's the movement of water in different forms. And the correct answer is the fourth option, which is the hydrological cycle describes ways water moves through the land, oceans, and atmosphere. This is the correct definition of hydrological cycle, or also known as the water cycle, because it explains how water continuously moves in a cycle through processes such as evaporation, condensation, precipitation, infiltration, and runoff, connecting the land, ocean, and the atmosphere. The next part is to draw arrows to match the names of the processes with their definitions in the following table. So the processes which are included in the question are channel flow, condensation, evaporation, and percolation. Channel flow is the water moves in a river. So it means that, again, because of the channel, it's the movement of water within a river or a stream. And it's how water flows along the river's channel from one place to another. Again, channel flow, water is moving within the stream or a river. Next is condensation. Condensation, the answer is water vapor becomes liquid. Condensation is it's gas, right? Water vapor is a gas. When water vapor in the air cools down and it turns into tiny droplets, it forms clouds. Again, water vapor, if it cools down, It turns into tiny droplets forming the clouds, and it's how water moves from gas to liquid. After forming the clouds, then there will be rain, and then, of course, that's the condensation. Gas becomes liquid. Third is the evaporation. Evaporation, the definition is water changes into water vapor. So it means like liquid to gas. So evaporation is a process where the water changes from liquid to gas because of the heat, like when water from rivers or lakes turn into vapor into an air and it rises. Okay, so that is evaporation. This is the counterpart of condensation. And lastly, percolation. Okay, percolation is the water is when water moves from the soil into the rocks. So the keywords for percolation are soil, water, soil, rocks. So it's the movement of water through the soil and rocks as it seeps deeper into the ground, filling underground water stores. So it means that when water goes into soil and rocks, that's percolation. Again, key terms: channel flow, movement, water into the river. Okay, condensation, it means gas into liquid. Evaporation, liquid to gas. Percolation, it's movement of water through the soil and rocks.